Hello everyone, welcome to the Northern California channel where gardening is made easy. So today we'll talk about how to prune a rose plant. So what you're seeing in front of me is a hybrid rose, and so I'm going to prune it. So there are a few basic tips that I want to give you before you start pruning. Okay, so let's visit them. Right everyone, so let's look into the basic tips for pruning the rose plants. And these tips apply for roses or hybrid roses, and don't apply these same tips for other plants because it may slightly vary. Um, so the first one is basically look for a dormant season. Dormant season is basically winter, and best time for pruning it is in January, first or second week of January, or in some of the colder places. You can also in North America, you can also wait until February. So rose plants are okay actually, it can tolerate the freeze, so it goes dormant in the winter, and this is the best season you can pick. So the second one is make sure that you do a 45-degree sharp cuts. So when you choose the pruners, right, I'll show you the pruners later, but make sure that the pruners are sharp. So sharp cuts are important, and 45-degree cuts are important, right? So when you're pruning it, make sure the cuts are 45 degrees. So when the water falls, it will, slip off, and it won't penetrate inside the branch, which may cause further damage. So this is another one. Prune the branches that crisscross each other. So if you look at this branch right here, so this branch, some of the branches over here, it's kind of crossing each other. So they're going to compete with each other for sunlight, and it's not going to grow healthy, right? So those things you can look at where it starts, and then you can prune those also. And the fourth one is make sure the weak branches, right? So I see the weak branch here. There's one weak branch, and then there's another weak branch. And look for the weak branches which are pencil size or less. And because in the next season, right, they're not going to grow healthy, and it's not going to sustain the weight. And you can prune those off. So look for those. Remove diseased branches. Disease, and also I would probably say old branches also. So any old branch that are dried out and diseased, you can see them, and I will show you in the video actually, if I have any diseased branch inside, and you might want to get rid of them because that will cause further damage to that plant, and get rid of those. So look for signs, of shoots growing outward. So meaning what I'm saying here is, if you can spot the signs for shoots, the new shoots coming up, if you can, if I'm, say for example, if I'm going to prune this branch, right, the huge branch here, I'm going to prune it right here. You may want to look for a sign of shoots that are coming outside like this, and then if you prune it right here, right, so this will kind of grow outward. So if you prune something, say for example the same branch, if there is something coming here, and then if we prune it over here, then this is going to again interfere and it's going to crisscross, right? So you might want to look for these ones, right? This is the right one to kind of do it. So if you can spot it, then that will be good. And finally, keep 4 to 9 branches. That's a rule of thumb actually, to kind of keep 4 to 9 branches. You can keep them, and rest of them you can prune it. And the last one is, when you look at final pruning, it should look like in a claw shape, right? It should look like a claw shape, right? Like this, right? So where nicely the sunlight can pass inside, and it should be kind of looking at that shape. So if you follow these tips, you will never go wrong for hybrid roses. Okay, we looked at what are the basic tips you need to follow in order to do pruning. So the next thing is, you have to have one of the sharp pruners. So you can see the one over here. So either you can use this. So this one is easier if the rose is a long bush, because it can reach inside, and it won't poke your hand. So the other one is a smaller one, right? So ensure that you do clean them first, right, before you start pruning, with a white piece of cloth with hydrogen peroxide. That have hydrogen peroxide. This is the one I have, and you have to clean it first just to make sure that it does not get infected by any germs or bacteria on that. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, I've cleaned them up with hydrogen peroxide, and so make sure that you wear nice gloves, and then glasses also for safety. And let's get to action now. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prune it to 15 to 20 inches high, because I don't want it to grow really long actually. It cannot sustain the weight, and if you think you want to keep it longer, you can make it at 24 inches. It depends upon what height you wanted to prune it. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. All right, so what I've done now is, I've just basically cut it to like 20-24 inch high, and so now we get a better visibility of what's going on, so how is it looking inside, right? So I get a better visibility of inside. So the next thing what I'm going to do is basically remove all those crisscrossing branches. So for example, so this branch, right, all the branches which are growing inside, see, look at this branch right here, which is kind of growing inside, right? So that's going to interfere with the rest of it. So I'm going to get rid of those, and also anything less than pencil size, right? So look at some of the smaller ones, which is kind of pencil size or below. I'm going to basically get rid of those also. Okay. The reason for eliminating the crisscross branch is that because it will interfere with the growth of the others, and then also it will block the sunlight, right? So anything which is smaller to pencil size, the reason to cut that is because it's not going to sustain, right, for the next season. So that's the reason we are cutting that also. Okay, so after second round of pruning, this is how it looks. So I've gotten rid of most of the small branches which are less than, most of them I removed, which are less than pencil size or less, and so there are still some of them actually that I need to still, third round of pruning I need to do. So see this one right here, this one is this branch right here. You can probably see it. So this one, what I'm showing here. So this one is coming in the middle, right, which I don't need it. It may crisscross with other branches. I'm going to get rid of that. Then in the if you look at the here in the middle, there are few old branches. So this one right here is an old branch, and I'm going to get rid of that also, because it's already dried out. So anything that is dried out, you can just prune them off. I'm going to just basically keep, it's coming into the claw shape nicely, where the sunlight can nicely pass inside. So I'm going to keep 6 branches and trim off the rest. So I'm going to go for the third round of pruning. All right, so this is the final after the third round of cut, and I've left around 5-6 branches. As you see, they're all kind of growing outside, and so the light can nicely pass through inside. It's almost like a claw, and all the cuts are 45 degrees, so the water doesn't stagnate on it. It will slip off, and so I removed all the pencil ones. The pencil size branches are below, and I removed all the dead branches, and so that's all. So the dormant season is basically on uh, January, so this is the right time to prune it, and I'm expecting it to this to grow like a healthy plant.